Hi there friends, in this video I'll be trying out the famous HIMI gouache paints. This is my first time trying not only this brand but also gouache in general, so it's gonna be interesting. I know that I'm like a whole year late to this entire trend, the HIMI craze, but better late than never. The very first thing I noticed about this box is how heavy it is. Like, I did not expect it to be this heavy. It also came with this weird plastic thing, I don't know what it is. It's shaped like... I actually don't know. If you know what it is, what it's for, please tell me. Inside the box is a palette and 3 brushes, which are pretty cool. I actually like the palette. It's very big and it has a lot of these little slots that I will definitely use a lot. And the brushes, they seem somewhat high quality. I don't know, I can't judge gouache brushes at all. They are like a bit more stiff than watercolor brushes that are typically very soft, but not as rigid and rough as acrylic brushes. They're somewhere in between, just like gouache is somewhere in between acrylic and watercolor. And of course the main attraction, the paint itself, which comes in these sealed up cups. I bought the box with the 24 colors, but if you want less you can get the 18 one, and if you want more you can get 56. That's pretty impressive, I think. These paints are what's called student grade, which means they're not the best quality out there. They're not like professional expensive paints, but they're very affordable and they are good when you want to try out a new material or something, which is exactly what I'm gonna do in this video. I got my box for $50, which is really not a lot when you compare it to professional gouache. Also, right away you get such a wide variety of colors, which I think makes the price totally worth it. It was advertised a lot as jelly cups or like jelly paint, so I imagined I just have like this jiggly box of gouache paint, but that's at least not what I got. When I opened the boxes, my first impression was, well, it's paint. It has the consistency of paint. It's very similar to acrylic. Some of the cups, when I opened them, there was some liquid on top, as if the ingredients started to separate, and some paints just do that. I mixed them really quickly with a palette knife and it was gone, and even days after it didn't separate again, so I don't know if it's some issues I'm supposed to worry about, but yeah, just stir it a little bit and it should be fine. After I opened all the cups, I decided to try them out on a sheet of paper just to do little color swatches so I can see what I have and also to familiarize myself with the material. And honestly, it felt like acrylic but a bit easier. Because gouache is a bit more liquid than acrylic, I think, it just lays on the paper flatly and you don't have to worry so much about visible brush strokes. And also when it dries with like a matte surface and it's not as glossy as acrylic. Like, one thing I found really annoying about acrylic is that I try to make a flat surface, but I can't because every single brush stroke is visible and it's reflecting the light. Gouache doesn't have that problem, but it has its own downsides. Like, it took me forever to wash each color from the brush. I don't know, maybe I'm just so used to watercolor, which washes off very easily, but this gouache, my god, no. Like, the pigment wanted to stay on the brush, it really insisted on staying, and no matter how much I avoided mixing my colors inside, you know, the little pans, I just couldn't, because it wouldn't wash off my brush. Though I am pretty sure it could be also a result of my own inexperience with the material and I'm just doing something incorrectly. Also, the pigment stains everything it touches, especially the green one. Like, my brush instantly was just colored, and also my palette, it has green blobs on it that I can't get rid of. But that is not a unique property of gouache. In fact, my watercolors do the same. My pink watercolor stains too, and it's really bad. I personally don't care that much as long as it doesn't go into my next mixed paint, but if it's something that bothers you, just beware. I needed to see how I handle this paint with an actual artwork, so I decided to paint a small landscape on a postcard, the same one as I did with my Kuretake review. A good friend of mine often sends me stunning photos of places in Japan, and one day he sent me this beautiful photo of rice terraces, so I'm using it as a reference. I am so used to watercolors and how fluid and liquid they are, that adapting to the more opaque and the more thick lines I need to do with gouache was a bit of a challenge, and it felt very strange. I struggled with shading a lot, but that could possibly be due to the size of the painting and not necessarily the gouache itself. And in the end, my painting turned out very childish and a bit flat, which is not a bad thing at all. A lot of people have this art style, which sometimes looks really nice. It's just not my art style, so it just felt a bit strange. My main complaint about this paint is how easy it is to reactivate. Like, I put one layer down, it's completely dry, and then when I do the next layer, the layer underneath reactivates and starts mixing with my new layer. And it's a bit annoying, especially when I have to do areas where there's a lot of contrast between the colors, like a window, which is just pure black or just dark color, and around it is a light color, and just the dark and the light mix together, and it's very annoying. Watercolor does the exact same thing, but it's less of an issue because you work with very thin layers each time. With gouache you do a bit thicker layers, like less in amount but thicker layers, so when they start mixing it becomes such a mess. But maybe it just happens to me because I'm inexperienced with the material. Other than that, I think it's a very fun medium. I actually had so much fun with this postcard that I made 2 more. Working with gouache felt pretty relaxing to me because I had to worry less about making any mistakes. I wouldn't say that it's my new favorite art material because, well, that spot is already taken by watercolors, but I already can see several ways in which I can use it. It is just as opaque as acrylics, but much easier to use, and I think it combines with watercolors better, so I'll definitely use this gouache in the future. I hope you found this video helpful and entertaining. If you want to see more, I recommend you subscribe. Also, check out my Instagram where I post my art regularly. If you want to support what I do, you should check out my Patreon and my Etsy shop. All is linked in the description down below. I'll see you later. Bye bye!